The new Wolverine game is said to have cutting-edge gameplay and have a heavy focus on an emotional narrative set way down in Southeast Asia's Madripoor, where Wolverine takes on a new alias named Patch in order to fight crime and essentially become the Batman of this lawless city. Well, that's just the stuff that you can infer based on the short little teaser trailer that was released all the way back at PlayStation's showcase in 2021, which announced Wolverine coming to the PS5, only briefly showing Logan's claws come out during a bar fight in what appears to be Wolverine's favorite city. But we've also got a ton of gameplay details and leaks since that came out, since I mean it's been quite a while since that reveal now. But first, Mech Arena, a mobile game that truly captures what it's like to play a PC or console game on your phone on the go with your friends. You can matchmake into 5v5 deathmatch, or if you're scared of socializing with other mechs, take it down to 2v2 deathmatch, or go capture control points and then compete in a tournament. Play solo or with your friends, if you have any friends, to defeat other mech players around the world. There are tons of awesome mechs with enough unique abilities and play styles to keep you busy, because each mech plays completely differently. Plasma cannon, pulse cannons, RPGs, missiles, shotguns, railguns, snipers, miniguns, they got all that, and a lot more in this huge variety of weapons. The customization is vast, with thousands of different customization combinations for your mechs, hundreds of skins and paint jobs to go with whatever weapon you decide to throw on, and my favorite is this guy, because he goes... It's 100% free to play on Android or iOS right now, and you can use my personal link or scan my QR code to get bonuses worth $30. We're talking a skin, 1 amateur crate, and 5,000 credits to give you a boost above the competition. And if you're quick, you can add me here, so don't wait. Download Mech Arena right now. A huge reason for Wolverine's hype is obviously 1, it's Wolverine and we haven't really gotten a decent Wolverine game lately, and 2, it's being developed by Insomniac Games, the developers obviously behind Marvel Spider Man's games, but also Ratchet & Clank and the much forgotten and severely underrated Sunset Overdrive. But whereas Spider Man had a ton of past games to go off of as obvious references, there's not a whole lot of Wolverine games out there, or at least recent ones. The only Wolverine games that really exist out there solely about Wolverine are quite old now and went along with the movie releases, and while some of them are severely underrated for their time, it's not quite the same sort of baseline that the recent Spider-Man games had to go off of. While I love the new Spider-Man games, they were very identical to the old games, just visually much better writing, and almost everything was improved on. The overall premise and activities though were pretty similar to the old games, so it'll be interesting seeing what happens with Wolverine, seeing as they don't really have a whole lot of games to really copy the formula of, at least to the scale that this one seems to be set at. If they do draw any type of references from another game, it would probably be the X-Men Origins Wolverine game, which really wasn't too bad of a game since it is a game adaptation of a movie. Despite the movie not being the greatest, the game had some pretty cool features where Wolverine would get shredded down to basically the bone and had to regenerate outside of combat. Although it's a pretty average game, it's one of the best Wolverine adaptations we have so far and sets the violent tone that you want to see in a Wolverine game, along with that really good healing factor making it pretty ahead of its time. Whenever you take damage, there's sort of a delay where you can see the damage that you've accumulated until you heal and then it slowly recovers. This game came out in 2009. Stuff like this amazes me because you rarely see games with these types of details anymore. I'm just happy we have Insomniac doing it. If it weren't for them, this game likely wouldn't be getting as much hype after what happened with the Avengers game. You know, you have most Marvel games being kind of hit or miss, generally more miss. Like Midnight Suns came out recently and that game was okay. But Insomniac's games continue to be much higher quality with some of the best Spider-Man gameplay you can get your hands on. But will it be the same for Wolverine? It's tough to say since a good open world Wolverine game could be hard to pull off, so they'll probably go with more of a linear style approach like Uncharted or The Last of Us, or maybe even more of a Metro Exodus / Gears 5 style of semi-linear gameplay, while some areas are a lot more open while others are more linear, which is becoming a pretty popular style of gameplay lately. We recently saw that would happen for Jedi Survivor a few weeks back. Now back to the subject of Spider-Man, perhaps the most interesting part of all of this is that Wolverine is going to be set in the same universe, meaning that there could definitely be some type of Wolverine and Spider-Man crossovers coming along in the future. This also gives Insomniac and Sony almost like their own little Marvel universe. If this game is successful, and assuming the other Spider-Man game is as well, there's a good chance we could see Peter Parker and Wolverine teaming up in the future. I think the biggest thing that's going to decide how good of a game it is how mature of a rating it gets. Insomniac has said that they want to respect the DNA of what makes the character so popular and looking for opportunities to make it feel fresh and truly reflect the Insomniac spirit. So on one hand, it sounds like they're going to want to be sticking with what makes Wolverine really shine, but what throws it off is that Insomniac spirit. because the Insomniac spirit doesn't really get very dark for really any of their games. But then again, the story lead is going to be Walt Williams, the same writer who wrote Spec Ops: The Line. And I don't know if you guys have played that game because it has been sort of forgotten about. I don't really know a whole lot of people who have played it, but it was pretty brutal and it was honestly really good. So if they stick with that tone, it could match what you want to see with Wolverine's energy. The furthest thing that they've said about the Wolverine game's rating though was straight from the creative director, who said that it will have a mature tone. The question is, how mature of a tone? If it's more fun and kind of kid-friendly like their past games, I don't know how great of a game it's going to be. Yeah, it could still be a good game no matter what, but Wolverine definitely thrives when he's stabbing people in the face rather than every character escaping death just to make it more friendly. As much as I love Spider Man and Batman and all these other heroes that don't really kill technically, it gets insanely dull when you know that the villain is going to live every single time you fight them. Like in Gotham Knights, you had villains just continuously escape prison just to eradicate 12 square miles of all life in that portion of the city, and Nightwing's like, nah, I'm gonna send you to prison again and hope you don't escape. Like, it's kind of just selfish. I mentioned briefly earlier that the teaser trailer was set in Madripoor, and that's because of the multiple Easter eggs that were found early on back when this trailer released, which are the poster in front of Logan, partially cut off from his hat, which says Madripoor, the name of the bar, the Princess Bar that Logan spends time at in Madripoor, and then you have the Hulk 181 license plate, referring to Wolverine's first appearance in the comics in comic book 181, which is a pretty interesting Easter egg. But what is Madripoor? Well, if you watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you've already seen the city, but since a lot of people haven't, it's a city heavily focused on money. One section of the city called Hightown is where the rich live, and if you don't live there, you live in squalor down in Lowtown, which is ridden with crime and overall not a very good place. However, this is where Wolverine prefers to hang out and where the game is most likely to be set. If you look at the teaser trailer, you could see an eye patch in Wolverine's hand symbolizing his secret identity, Patch. Not a very creative name, but I mean, neither is Hightown or Lowtown either. In the comics during this time, the X-Men are believed to be dead and Wolverine comes to the city to fight crime by himself, similar to like Batman with Gotham. During that whole arc, he fights some pretty interesting villains which are likely to come out in the game. If you never want to be able to see Wolverine in this same light again, you can actually see one of his patch outfits in Fortnite right now. As for a release date, Insomniac had stated back during the announcement that Wolverine would have a release date set in 2023, but since Spider Man 2 for the PS5 is also set to release in 2023, and release dates are more of a placeholder date these days, it probably won't be until late 2023 or maybe even 2024. They already said that Spider Man 2 would release first, and most of their resources are probably heavily invested into making sure that game is a success, so I really wouldn't be surprised if it got pushed back to 2024 since it's now only been in development for a couple of years, with possibly not having had a whole lot of attention until Spider-Man is done, which isn't until fall of 2023, so it's not likely that they'll just release Wolverine within the couple of months that are left of 2023 after that. So it's not very surprising that Wolverine will be coming solely to PlayStation and not Xbox, since PlayStation owns Insomniac, but it's going to be skipping over last-gen consoles completely and go straight to the PS5. But since Sony has been pretty headstrong in releasing their games on PC at later dates, it will most likely be on PC somewhere around a year or so after release, if not more. PlayStation games have been porting over like crazy with Horizon Zero Dawn, Days Gone, God of War, Death Stranding, as well as Insomniac's Spider Man games just releasing a couple of months ago. But what do you guys think of Marvel's new Wolverine game coming to PS5? How many of y'all even have a PS5 yet? I think what's really going to make or break this game though is the combat system and gameplay in general, as well as the story. If they get it a more linear and heavily story focused approach, it could be a great game, but I guess we'll have to find out. That's it, thanks for watching, see ya.